Title Seat 1C, the short version. I was halfway down the jet bridge when I heard it clean and sharp like a tap on the mic. "Get out of my seat, boy." Not hello. Not excuse me. Just that line that drags a century in behind it. Heads turned in first class, like flowers toward a storm. And there I was, with my boarding pass in my hand. Thinking, all right, here we go. I stopped beside 1C simple print on paper. Den to BOS Sky Harbor Airline. Marcus 1C. The woman planted in my seat wore a white pantsuit like armor, and a smile that never reached her eyes. Her diamond bracelet tapping the armrest like a metronome of entitlement. And before I could set my bag down, she nudged it back with her knee. Soft voice, hard words. Security can escort you to where you belong. The flight attendant slid in front of me like a gate on hinges. Name tag, Tina. Smile you give. When you already decided the ending, sir. First class is full. Economy is behind you. I held up the pass. Marcus Lane 1C, and she didn't even glance. We're about to close the door, she said. Like a countdown. The woman in my seat crossed her legs and said, Platinum 12 years. I know how this works. The cabin air got thick. A man pretended to sleep. A kid 2 rows back tilted her phone up. Just a hair, you know. That moved the I might be about to catch lightning move, and I breathed not for courage, for clarity, because if I talk too quick in moments like this, I end up carrying the consequences for everybody else. I let the silence settle. Tina folded her arms. Sir, I'll have to call the supervisor. I nodded. Not angry, just steady. Because sometimes you let people be exactly who they are, and let the room hear it. The door thumped shut. The jet bridge pulled away. Everything held its breath. And I could feel it, the old story, trying to grab the wheel. Angry black man. Disruptive. Dangerous. Deserving whatever comes next, and I didn't give it a grip. I reached into my hoodie and opened an app most people never see. Sky Harbor Executive Access, black background, clean type, more passwords than a bank vault, and it greeted me like it always does. Welcome Marcus Lane, Chief Executive Officer. That kid, 2 rows back. Inhaled like she touched a socket. Oh my God, she whispered to 100. Then 1,000, then 10,000 strangers. As her view count climbed, the woman in 1C blinked like her eyes needed to recalibrate. What is that? She asked. Not a statement anymore. And I tilted the screen just enough for her to read my name, then turned it toward Tina. Check your manifest and kindly check my boarding pass. For the first time all morning, her eyes dropped to the paper in my hand, back to the phone, back to me, then to the quiet cameras that were everywhere and nowhere. Mr. Lane, she said the word, catching a little. One moment. Owen, the lead flight attendant, arrived in a rush of authority without context. What is the holdup? Already irritated, Tina started to speak. I saved her the trouble. I'm Marcus Lane, and this is my seat. The plane went quiet, the way expensive rooms do when money speaks in a dialect. They didn't expect. Owen looked at the pass. The phone, then the woman in white. She smoothed her pants and said, This is ridiculous, look at him. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. The shape of the word she knew better than to say hung in the aisle like smoke. 2 officers stepped on board. Officer Malik Torres, with a calm that comes from doing the job well. Detective E, Cho with a steady scan that missed nothing, and they did what professionals do. They verified, boarding pass please, Cho said. Lane. Marcus 1C confirmed, a small nod toward my phone. Executive access. I nodded back. She turned to the crew. We're documenting a discrimination incident. Names, please. The word hit metal and rang. You could feel it in the seat tracks. The woman finally looked at me, not up or down, just at I didn't mean. She started. I lifted a hand an inch. You meant it enough to say it. Not loud, not cruel. A mirror isn't cruel. It's honest. And I asked Officer Torres a different kind of question. Is there a way to file without blowing up every family's dinner plan in Boston? He nodded. Statements now follow up after landing. So we did that. I called our general counsel from the jetway. Nora picks up on the first ring for me, and the fifth for everyone else. Nora start the internal report, regulatory notice. Get comms out of bed. No spin, just facts. Flight 7149, DEN to BOS. I want it handled before we push, she said. On it. And I believed her because she doesn't miss. I sat in 1C. The woman moved herself back to 4A without being told. Tina stood at the bulkhead with her hands twisting. Owen faced the galley like it might give him a different past. We climbed into a clean Colorado sky, and the light made everything look kinder than it felt then. Came the part that isn't cinematic, but matters more than a viral shout. Accountability, not humiliation, not revenge, not content. Accountability. Tina came to my seat when the seatbelt sign clicked off, voice barely there. Mr. Lane. I'm sorry. I asked her a real question. Is this the first time you trusted a stereotype faster than a boarding pass? She winced. No. Then it isn't a mistake. I said, it's a pattern. Patterns can be broken, but not by pretending they never existed. She nodded. Tears close, but not falling. And I opened my laptop and approved the disciplinary draft HR had waiting. Unpaid suspension with benefits. 12 weeks mandatory quarterly training that you cannot. Click past peer-led sessions. Scenario drills, observation and feedback. Completion required before return. Final warning on file. She read it over my shoulder because I let her. Can I learn? She asked like a kid. You're going to, I said, not unkind, not optional. Owen's plan was sharper. Demotion to support salary cut, 2 years probation, with outside oversight. Measurable milestones. Feedback loops with the crews he had trained. He stared at the words and whispered. 12 years. Like tenure was a shield against growth. It should have been 12 years of learning, I said. He swallowed, nodded. It will be. And I believed him because humiliation had given way to humility, which is the only soil where change shows up and stays. As for the woman in white, Leah, she stood by my seat, later phone buzzing from a contact labeled, HR, please don't ruin my life. She said a sentence that shows up in moments like this. I didn't. I told her, calm as a countertop. You did, but you can build a different one. And she blinked like she just realized there was another door in the room. Mid-flight, I took the intercom and talked like we were at a kitchen table. Good afternoon, I'm Marcus. I run this airline, and today I was a passenger who almost got told where he belongs. A couple heads snapped up. The kid's stream kept climbing. We can talk about fairness all day, or we can operationalize it. We're choosing the second thing. I laid out respect. First, the program our team had been building, and we were now launching ahead of schedule quarterly anti-bias training for every customer-facing role, from counter to cockpit. Independent recording for escalated interactions with review by a third party. Not somebody's buddy. A real ombuds office with budget and authority. Anonymous reporting that doesn't require a law degree. 35 million a year tied to outcomes. PR quarterly metrics published ugly or not. Because if you're going to say dignity matters, you have to pay for it, measure it, risk embarrassment. When you miss, then change and try again. The cabin went quiet in the good way. The monster had a shape, and people could breathe. We landed into a Boston sunset that made the runway look like good news. Officers met us, took final statements, thanked folks for letting justice take its time. Tina hugged me on the jetway. I'm not a hug person at work, but sometimes the human thing is the only credential that counts. "I'll see you in 12 weeks, she said. "You'll see me in a classroom first," I told her, and she laughed in a way that made me think we might be all right. The internet did what it does. Clips, stitches, think pieces, jokes, experts. Our stock wobbled like a nervous animal, then settled when people realized we weren't hiding or performing. We were fixing competitors. Issued statements that sounded like statements, then quietly called to ask for our vendor list. Reporters asked if body cams were surveillance theater. I told the truth. Anything becomes theater. If you forget why you built the stage, we built this to create a record. Not a show, the show is what you get when you refuse the work. 3 weeks later, I flew BOS to RDU-1C again. Same seat number, different sky. The crew met my eyes. The new hire checked my pass and said, "Welcome aboard, Mr. Lane," and didn't overdo it. Tina wasn't in uniform, by choice. She was shadowing the first respect. First class, taking notes like someone building a muscle that should have been there years ago. Owen sat in feedback sessions, asking the only adult question that matters. What should I have said instead of what I said? Leah left her job. Not because she got fired, but because she couldn't stand the taste of her old voice. She volunteers twice a week now at a community justice center where nobody cares how many miles she has. You want a neat bow? Everybody does. But the truth is messier. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a daily practice of not making someone pay the old bill when they're trying to write a new contract. I still get tired and hopeful in the same body, which, you know what I mean, is about as American as it gets. Here's the twist that sticks with me. The power move wasn't the title on my phone. It was the choice to hold the line with silence until the room had to meet the facts. The win wasn't kicking someone off a plane. It was building a system where the question gets asked first. Can we check the boarding pass? And where the answer lands before the bias does. A guy in 3D caught my eye while we deplaned and whispered I should have said something, and I handed him the tool. Next time, try this. Can we check the facts first? Not a speech, not a showdown, just a bend back toward reality, yeah. That happened. If you're still with me, I want to hear you. Would you want cameras on crew, or does that cross a line? What would you have done in row 2? When have you watched bias pass for policy and did you speak up? Drop your take in the comments. Argue with me. If you need to share this, if you believe dignity isn't a perk you earn with miles but a right, you carry on board because somebody on your next flight, or in your office, or at your kitchen table, needs proof that people can change direction at 30,000 feet and still land where they meant to go.